The big idea, the United Nations. We're going to talk about the EU in the second lesson of this unit, but let's take two European nations that everybody knows about, France and Germany. They share a long border with each other, share numerous linguistic similarities, and are culturally very close. Of course, there are differences, but ancestrally and culturally, they're like lemons and oranges. These days, they are the two bastions of the EU. From 1799 to the present, these two countries fought 7 wars and were in conflict for about 32 years. If they were 2 kids in a class, you'd kick them both out, wouldn't you? 32 years of fighting with your next-door neighbour. The last 2 of those conflicts turned into the First World War. 10 million military deaths, 7 million civilian deaths. And the Second World War, with 15 to 18 million military deaths and 38 to 55 million civilian deaths. That's quite an enormous consequence of falling out about rocks in the ground and a line on a map. That kind of nonsense could simply not go on. After the Second World War ended in 1945 and turned into the Korean War in 1950, the Soviet Union made its own side in 1945 to support China and North Korea. Everyone realized that someone should try to put a cork in this business of shooting each other and dropping bombs on each other's hallowed soil. Thus, the United Nations was created. As you can tell, it was intended to be a solution to humans slaughtering each other like ants and termites. It was meant to be a way to keep everybody on the straight and narrow. The question is then, has it worked? It's a huge yes, and a quietly disappointed no. Let's be sanguine first of all. Almost every indicator of human triumph has risen. People are more affluent, fewer babies suffer from infant mortality, the world population has spiraled. Hang on, is that good? Life expectancy has increased for almost every single nation and gender and demographic on Earth. That's jolly well brilliant then. Everybody has won in a way. The wealth of the powerhouse economies has piled up massively, and this has cascaded down over the rest of the planet. Everyone has seen an improvement in their lives. Caveat below. Yes, everyone became a bit richer, but just don't go congratulating ourselves just yet. Global warming rages across the planet, absolute poverty accounts for about 10% of the population, and proxy wars, when regional wars are supported by major powers, have not ceased. 5 nations have veto powers on the United Nations Council: China, the United States, the United Kingdom, Russia, and France. Guess what happens whenever the UN votes on something vital that Russia disagrees with? Russia vetoes it. China does the same. The US does the same. The other 3 could all do the same. The power of the United Nations ultimately rests in the hands of 5 major nations to shape the world according to what fits their aspirations and their temperament. Could all of the problems in the world be solved in 5 minutes? Yes. Will they? Most likely, no.